Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett, and alongside me today to help us preview the Niners Week 11 matchup against the Arizona Cardinals is my good friend Dre from Dre Area Sports. Going to get into the return of maybe Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall and what it's going to take for San Francisco to pull this out on Sunday against another NFC West division rival. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave us that 5-star audio podcast review. And Dre, how you doing today on a Thursday? We might get a Brock Purdy update later this evening, but I want to talk to you now. Cardinals, Niners, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good about this matchup. I think that with the amount of injuries that the Cardinals have, now I know before the show we said we're not going to talk injuries, but when a team has more injuries than the Niners, I'm feeling a little better. I'm feeling like a real NFL team. Like, oh, this is how it feels for the other, 31 teams. Like, oh, got it. Okay. But being that their starting two receivers are out, their linebacker is out, who's really good against the run. I think the Niners have a favorable matchup coming up this Sunday.
Yeah, San Francisco comes in 6-4, currently on the outside looking into the NFC wildcard picture. They're behind the Bears and the Packers for the 6th and 7th seeds in the wildcard standings, but not just far behind are the Niners, about half a game behind those two teams. The Cardinals are 3-6 entering week number 11, and well, they've had some gritty, some really close losses. They're a team that is in the midst of a rebuild still, young defense, young offense, hasn't truly found its way just yet, but will give San Francisco a pretty big test this weekend. As we know, NFC West divisional games are always tough. I think the Niners game was closer against the Rams than it actually looked like. That game was an 8-point game going into the fourth quarter, so the box score wouldn't tell you that, but still. However, you mentioned the injuries. This is a battle of the two most injured teams in the NFL when it comes to money. Because these two teams combined have $196.1 million on injured reserve, the PUP list, or the NFI list. This team has nearly more money on the injured list than they do have on the active rosters this Sunday. That's how banged up these two teams are. The Cardinals aren't going to have Marvin Harrison Jr. or Zay Jones, might not have starting linebacker Mack Wilson or cornerbacks Will Johnson and Max Melton this Sunday. Meanwhile, probably the biggest story of this week for San Francisco is the impending returns of quarterback Brock Purdy and wide receiver Ricky Pearsall. I want to kind of hold off the Brock Purdy return conversation for a second because these two guys getting back means everything for San Francisco. Obviously, the defense isn't getting much healthier. Maybe you can hope Yetur Gross-Matos comes back down the road, but that's a rather minuscule, impactful player for you down the stretch of the season. But getting back your two best offensive players, not named Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle, is a huge factor for this team. And I want to start with Ricky Pearsall because I think Ricky Pearsall, and you can tell me if I'm crazy here, I think Pearsall might be the more impactful player of the two this Sunday with how much of a change he can bring to the passing game. What do you think of that? Is Pearsall more important to the passing game than Brock Purdy?
Well, I think ultimately Brock Purdy is more important because he has to deliver the ball, but I think that getting back Pearsall gives you more of a dynamic receiver, a guy who can stretch the field. When you're looking at the receiving core of last week, a combination of Juwan Jennings and Kendrick Bourne, that's no separation, no speed. Those guys rely on the guys that can stretch the field to get them open. And when you don't have a guy like that, it's tough for a quarterback to get things done. So I think I think Pearsall getting him back is going to be huge for the San Francisco offense, definitely.
Well, when I look at the Pearsall return, if that does indeed happen this Sunday, it seems like he's trending that way. He practiced yesterday, looked pretty fluid. I know John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have both said, like, the doctors have cleared him, the trainers have cleared him, but we want to see him out there and make it through the entire week. But I do think that Pearsall, what he brings to the offense is just, you mentioned it, getting open, being able to beat man and press coverage, running open for a lot of times. You mentioned the separation. Niners can't get that, where I do think there is a disservice being done to Mac Jones, where he's playing really good football, and it's unfortunate because he's throwing into really tight windows almost every single snap, which isn't his fault, and he's doing a darn good job doing so. And you have to wonder at least what he can do if he had Pearsall the entire year, which we haven't really got to see. And I've only seen for one game. Funny enough, that one game was against the Arizona Cardinals in week 3, where he hit Pearsall 8 times on 11 targets for over 100 yards, had that big fourth down catch towards the right sideline to help win San Francisco that game in the second half. But I did some digging because among wide receivers this season that have 21 targets or more, Ricky Pearsall ranks 11th in the NFL in yards run per route, somewhere above 2. That to me shows you when he's running deep downfield, he's getting open, he's creating separation, and he's going to be a big changer for guys like George Kittle, like Jawan Jennings, who, yeah, Kittle can be great downfield, but they're more contested catch guys, bigger body receivers. Pearsall can open things up for those dudes and hopefully get them more open and himself more open against what may be a banged up Cardinals defense this Sunday.
No, definitely. He gives them matchup problems for the defense. And the fact that the Cardinals are going to be down guys in their secondary, this is going to be a huge return for Ricky Pearsall. And look, I think this was the guy as well, Pete Carroll. I think this was the guy as well that they waited on to make sure that he was 100% before they brought him back, because they looked at the schedule and said, hey, look, there is a section of our schedule in which we could take advantage of. But if we can get our guys to be close to 100%, not 100% healthy, we can pretty much ensure that we're going to reach that 10-win mark, right? Now, look, the Niners didn't make a move at the trade deadline. We've talked about that ad nauseum. But at the end of the day, I still want to see San Francisco make the playoffs and have a winning season, and I think they do as well. So getting him back this week, I think is perfect. I think he probably could have played last week, but they said, you know what? We'll give you one more week. We want you to be 100% because, look, let's face it. If they brought back Brock Purdy and they brought back Ricky Pearsall last week, that wouldn't have changed the game. They still would have lost that game. And, you know, Kyle Shanahan made the comment like, hey, he probably could have played about Brock Purdy, but he said, but I didn't want to put him in that situation. And a lot of people were like, whoa, what is that supposed to mean? I think what he's saying is...
It was soft benching was the rumor.
Soft benching. Well, I think what that really meant was that, hey, look, I don't want to bring him back after not playing for X amount of weeks. And now he's going to have to go against probably one of the best defenses in the league, a divisional matchup. A lot of pressure is riding on this. And they have an elite pass rush. I'm going to put in my quarterback who's recovering from turf toe and relies on his mobility, to do different things. And to me, I don't think that was the right matchup that they wanted for Brock Purdy. They'd rather have him come back, play teams like the Cardinals, the Panthers, the Browns, and kind of, let him work the rust off, but go against teams that are much more inferior, and that way get him back into form. And hopefully we'll see a high-level Brock Purdy by the time we reach the games against the Colts, the Bears, and the Seahawks.
Well, I think this kind of goes hand in hand with Brock's return, is that, with Pearsall coming back too, you're not just getting your right now your number one wide receiver back in the fray in your offense. You're also getting back your best quarterback on top of it, which the Cardinals defense so far this year, the last 3 games, which has been over the span of 4 weeks, they played Jordan Love and Dak Prescott and Sam Darnold, albeit some of the numbers are a little skewed because the Seahawks were winning like 38-0 in the first quarter or the first half. So they ran the football towards the end of that game in the second half a lot. And there were some crazy turnovers in the second half for the Seahawks. But so far this year, or this last 3 games for the Cardinals defense, quarterbacks have a 74% completion rate, 214 yards, and 1 INT against their defense. So the middle of the defense can be open against this Cardinals, and I think getting Purdy back, somebody that has struggled sometimes to see over the line of scrimmage, but likes to target guys like Kittle and Jawan and is known for those layered throws, probably a better defense to have him come back against, albeit if he's your franchise quarterback, you want him back against every team, and I don't think that the Niners hit him against the Rams. I just think that they realize that a ramp-up process is necessary, and Mac Jones probably gave him a better chance to win last Sunday against other than Brock, who was probably 85%. And won't be 100% the rest of the year. But you're right. This probably is the perfect time to bring back Brock Purdy. The next 3 games were on natural grass.
The guy. Yeah.
Right, and like you're on the road in Arizona, his home state. You're on natural grass, a defense that has been better as of recent, but can certainly be had. And the Niners' offense, for as mediocre as, I don't know how you want to say it, they haven't been great, they haven't been terrible all year, but they just haven't really found their groove consistently. The Cardinals are a team you can beat. Their offense really doesn't score much points. You're probably going to give Brock Purdy the ball a ton, and it's a better defense to go against than the Rams, but also turf toe, natural grass. Then you're back home against the Panthers in 2 weeks on Monday Night Football, so 1 extra day of rest for Brock Purdy in San Francisco before you go play the Browns on the road prior to the bye week. Then after the bye week, it's the Titans at home. That is a really nice 4-game stretch where if he's ramping up against the Cardinals and against the Panthers and he's back in the groove, and let's be honest here, those offenses, if your quarterback is going to make mistakes, probably aren't going to make you pay for them, whereas Stafford and company would in LA. So I think it's a good 4-game stretch to have Brock come back. You should be able to get 4 wins against these teams. And if you do, you're in a really good spot to end your season, 10 wins, 11 wins, and a nice 3-game stretch to end the year to hopefully maximize your window of success. But I think it's a great kind of 4-game, 3-game stretch to bring him back for. There's added rest involved in the return, and you're not playing a top 10 defense anywhere. The Browns are really good, but Dylan Gabriel, you might even play Shooter Sanders by the end of the year. Who knows? You're not playing any world beaters, and this really is probably the easiest part of your schedule. That's why I think bringing Purdy back now makes the most sense.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Browns have the number 2 defense in the league, but that's about all they have. Dylan Gabriel looks completely lost. He looks like he should not be an NFL quarterback. Knowing the Niners' luck, by the time they get to the Browns game, it's going to be Shedeur Sanders. I can't see Dylan Gabriel being their starter, playing the way he's playing for another 3 weeks or 4 weeks from now. I can't. I can't see it. They have to make another change by then. He looked so bad last week. It was comical how bad he was. I was like, oh,
and the Browns don't have any help either. They don't have really any weapons. Kevin Stefanski has given up play calling duties
He's
second time in
it's a matter of time.
He really has to go, which the Browns are a mess, so I don't expect anything else to change. But I think a lot of people's bigger concerns, and they have been for a while, because Brock has been week to week for what seems like a month. And every week there's always somebody on social media, somebody in the news, talking about the rust factor for Brock Purdy. If Purdy is set to return, which it really seems like he is, they're posting him on social media, taking first-team reps. Purdy is coming back this Sunday. Do you have the fear that there is going to be a rust factor for Brock Purdy where it's the first couple drives don't look great, or maybe he looks really good and we're all saying, wow, where's this guy been for all year? What do you think is going to happen on Sunday?
I'm worried about his turf toe injury. I think that's definitely going to be in play during the entire game.
Sure.
I think one of the benefits of going against the Cardinals is that you're likely going to run the football heavily, which they're going to expect. In fact, I would assume that they're going to stuff the box and make Brock Purdy beat them through the air. The guy hasn't played in how many weeks? And he's suffering from turf toe. Don't let them run the football and get pressure on the quarterback. You got Calais Campbell. You have Walter Nolen. You have guys. You have Josh Sweat. You got guys that can get pressure on the quarterback. And I think that's what they're going to try and do against this Niner offensive line that is a little Jekyll and Hyde. Some weeks they look great. I would just say great. Some weeks they look good, especially in pass protection, but other weeks they don't. I mean, we saw against the Texans. That was a game in which they should have won that game. Instead, they let the Texans dictate the pace and control the ball. And, I mean, Will Anderson was just running past Colt McKivitz. What?
Oh, sorry, I was reading one of the comments and I was like, excuse me? But then I caught myself and was like, oh, never mind. No.
I was like, anyway, sorry. My train of thought here. But yeah, I mean, I don't remember what I was talking about now because I started staring at your face like, what's going on?
Sorry,
but,
sorry.
But
the
no,
YouTube chat had me pause for a second.
This is gonna be a game in which I think San Francisco has the advantage because I mean they have McCaffrey. I think they have Brian Robinson, which I think is going to get more carries in this game because
as he
I
should.
feel like this is going to be a game where they're going to primarily run the football, and if they're able to do so at any level of success, they're just going to stick with it the entire game. There is some concern though with Brock's injury. If he's a guy that's going to be relying on, dropping back, throwing the ball. I mean, I know there's been talk about how Mac Jones really hasn't thrown the ball downfield. I think his biggest throw was a 22-yard throw.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, he's throwing to guys like Juwan Jennings and Kendrick Bourne, who these guys don't even stretch the field. These guys are across the middle, short gain receivers. You got Jordan Watkins out there, which I don't even know what he's doing. So I think that Brock has to have a game where his running backs dictate the pace of the game. They have to be able to run the football. If you fall behind early on this crappy Cardinals team, and all of a sudden you're down 14-0 in the first quarter, and now it's like, okay, start throwing the football. I think that's where we're going to see Brock maybe deteriorate because of the fact that he still has this injury. He's not he's not pain-free. It's not like he's like, I'm 100%. I'm good to go. I think he's good enough to go. Sure. But if you listen to Larry Krueger,
do you think there's going to be rust?
Can I finish? I was gonna say, if you listen to Larry, he was even saying that his throws to the sideline just seem kind of loopy, not like a line drive shot because he can't plant his front foot, and so that concerns me because Mac Jones was throwing the ball with high accuracy, with zip on the ball, and if Brock can't do that, that's going to be a problem for San Francisco.
But so I don't think you're wrong in the sense of the last thing you want, whether it's Mac Jones or Brock Purdy, to drop back 40 times a game, which has been the case a lot for the season. I think you'd prefer to run the football for 4.5 yards per carry and get first downs. I think there is a way, or there is, a chance San Francisco can find a lot of rushing success in this one against the run so far in their last 3 games. The Cardinals have allowed the 9th most rushing yards in football at 138.3 yards per game. They've allowed the 8th most rushing first downs at 9 per game, and they're allowing about 4.5 yards per carry. So you might be right that the Niners can kind of get back to, who they've been. The last couple of years of running the football for 4.5 yards per carry, whatever, and maybe not put Purdy in a position to have to drop back so much in his first game returning. That was a big problem against the Jacksonville Jaguars where, they go down early in that game trying to claw their way back, and then Purdy makes some mistakes, which was his own fault. But going back to the Russ thing, I'm expecting they're going to have a few drives to get things going. I'm not expecting a week 1 first drive touchdown against a Seahawks type of game from Brock, but I do think that the Cardinals, albeit have played better, they have been getting takeaways. They're averaging 2 over the last 3 games. So they're at 6 total. They're a team that wants to be aggressive and get to the quarterback and wreak some havoc and cause some problems, and they can do that. But I just, no offense to the Cardinals, I don't really fear them. It's going to be a tough game. It always is. They're always, it's a divisional game, but they don't scare me to a point of oh, wow, if San Francisco goes down early, they can't climb their way back in, or the Cardinals aren't going to make a mistake. They will. They have. They're going to. Now, can San Francisco capitalize and actually catch some interceptions? I don't know. We'll have to see if that happens on Sunday. But when it comes to Brock Purdy, I think the one thing, if I'm the Cardinals and you have a guy that has turf toe coming back, what's the one thing you're going to do? Get pressure on him early. Bring the blitz. Force him to show you he's mobile. Force him to run. Not that you want Purdy to get hurt again, but you want to say, hey, if you're hindered in some way, I want to exploit that. If I'm Jonathan Gannon, I'm bringing the first drive, 7 guys, just every time. I'm leaving dudes open. Absolutely. I'm wreaking some havoc, and I'm saying, hey, if we're going to fail, we're going to fail by blitzing and attacking the quarterback. And if he beats us, so be it. That's Purdy making a play, but I want to attack Purdy, get him out of the pocket, and show off his hindrances. If he can't move or the toes bothering him, it almost helps us to get him out of the pockets first. So I would not be shocked to see a heavy blitzing game from Gannon on Sunday and get Purdy off his spot and make him a little paranoid early. And Purdy has shown the ability to have really good pocket presence, but, like, you don't know what the foot feels like or the toe feels like on Sunday. It can feel great on Saturday night. Wake up on Sunday and you sleep wrong and you're like, oh, my toe hurts. Like that to me can impede him.
It could be a case where like you're playing the game, here comes Josh Sweat, and you all of a sudden have to run a certain direction, and you put pressure on it at a weird angle. Boom! All of a sudden you're like, my foot hurts. So this is going to be a huge test for Brock Purdy because they are going to be coming after him, and I think that Shanahan realizing, hey, look, if I bring him back against the Rams, they are going to load the box. They are going to come after him nonstop. And they have a ton of pass rushers on that defense with the Rams. And so I think he felt like, hey, I'm not going to put him in a situation where he's got elite pass rushers fucking just breathing down his neck on his first game back. Now, they're going to do it again in Arizona. And Jonathan Gannon is a good defensive-minded coach.
Yeah.
But their deficiencies with their injuries is going to be a big factor. And the Niners, really, their defense has to be able to get Arizona off the field on third down. And last week we saw they couldn't get the Rams off the field on any down. They were running up and down that field on the Niners defense. So this needs to be a bounce back game. But for the defense, the Niners need to find a way to get any kind of pass rush. I mean, Bryce Huff was back. I didn't really notice him as much as I wanted to. There's just not much going on for pass rush, which means that, Saleh, he blitzed, I think it was like 55% of the time against the Rams. It was a lot. And Stafford carved him up because they couldn't get any pressure on the quarterback. I mean, how many times did we see Jair Brown try to blitz in and get taken out by...
I'm done with Jair Brown.
By the running back.
Standing him up and, it just,
What is...
But I think...
Okay,
but
let me ask you this.
Stafford is... Go ahead.
Let me ask you this. Would you still stick with Jair Brown? Because for me, no. I'm done. No. I'm done with the Jair Brown experiment. It needs to be Mustafa. I would say Mustafa and Siegel need to be out there because that's your future. Yeah. Get him out there. Get Jair Brown out of there.
Yeah, I mean, Siegel's not great by any means, but he's young. He's a rookie. And I think, there's been more flashes. I know Jair Brown may give you something. I don't know what that something is.
I don't know what he get. I mean, he had a pass breakup against the Rams. And I was like, oh, cool. But then, after that, I mean, Kyron Williams literally just ran past, or it was him or Puka Nacua ran right by him. And how many missed tackles does Jair Brown have? I mean, after a game like that, he's got to go.
But the one thing I think, and I think it's a good point, we have a comment here in the YouTube chat about, how you beat the blitz, and it isn't by mobility, right? It's not by mobility. Now, mobility can help you evade some pressure, but it's about throwing where guys have evaded, basically. And if the Cardinals are going to bring more linebackers, that makes Christian McCaffrey likely more open. Now, the Cardinals are going to place more 3 safety sets, what they do, but I just think that, this is going to be a big game where I really wouldn't be shocked to see San Francisco revert back to some more tight end screens. If they're going to blitz, let them come in the backfield, give Purdy a pretty easy target to throw to, flip to guys like Kittle, Tonjes at times. We've seen that this year. Even Luke Farrell last weekend against the Rams. That was a great, whether it was designed or not, play fake to the tight end. I think, if I'm Kyle, where the Cardinals want to exploit Purdy's lack of mobility or the toe injury, I want to exploit their aggressiveness. And if they're going to be aggressive, we're going to throw screens and quick outs and get guys open to Kyle Juszczyk and Farrell and Tonjes and Kittle and Christian McCaffrey, where I think if Purdy, the one thing, and this kind of goes into the next topic here of there has to be some sort of immense pressure on Brock Purdy of, I was paid all this money. I missed the majority of the season. Yes, my backup quarterback and the rest of the team has helped carry us to 6-4. And we're in a really good place to go to the playoffs still. We're right in the thick of things. It's where you want to be as a team, all the injuries they have. But do you think there will be this, which Brock do we get on Sunday? Do we get the Brock that we saw last year early in the season where it was I have to be Superman? Or do we get maybe a Brock that is more conservative, is going to take what the defense gives him, and because the toe, be more willing to, sit back, relax, and kind of enjoy the show in front of him as he plays point guard?
I think we're going to get a Brock that, I'll put it this way. I think he's going to start off being the Brock that's going to be more conservative, give what the defense gives him, or takes what the defense gives him, and just sort of not try and do too much, but make sure that we're moving the offense. But my fear is that as the game goes on, his competitive drive is going to make him say, okay, I'm going to go downfield. I'm going to take the riskier throw, because that's the kind of guy he is.
Which isn't a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. And, I mean, some of those throws against the Jaguars, I think if he was healthy, he actually hits those throws.
Right.
But this is a big game for Brock. If Brock comes out there and lays an egg, it's going to open up a whole can of worms. If he goes out there, throws for 179 and 2 interceptions, and they lose the game, it's not going to be good for him. It's not going to be good for the team. When you had a guy in Mac Jones that was doing a really, really good job. I mean, there wasn't much that Mac was doing that was like, oh, why do you do that? You know, he was
really consistent all year. He's the same guy every single week.
And some guys don't get I've heard some other content creators saying, I don't understand why people say it's a Jimmy Garoppolo offense. But to me, it kind of is, because it's a lot of short passes.
Very similar.
Passes down the middle of the field. It just reminds me a lot of Jimmy Garoppolo and the offense that they were running there. And I think that, Kyle, when Mac took over, I think he eventually molded that offense into, okay, this is probably what I would have done with Mac, is I would have used the same offense we had with Jimmy, but I'm going to alter it a little bit because Mac's got a stronger arm than Jimmy. He's a little more accurate. And so I can do a few more different things with him, but they haven't really gone deep. They don't have any, fast receivers. So some people would say, well, it's not fair that, they take Brock out when Ricky Pearsall comes back. But to me, it's like, look, if you're going to bring back Brock, you better bring back Pearsall as well. He needs to have a whole plethora of weapons to help move that football. So a lot is riding on this game when it comes to Brock Purdy, because this is a game the Niners should win. And if they lose this game and it's because of Brock Purdy, that's going to hurt, because this is a stretch where you have a chance to win 5 straight games, especially the one after the bye week against the Titans. You got 4 weeks right here. Actually, no, you have 4
games,
4
5
games.
weeks.
You have, on Sunday, you have the Cardinals, and you have the Panthers, and then you have the Browns, and then you have the Titans. Those are 4 games, 4 winnable games. Yeah. And I think that out of all the games, I feel like the hardest 2 games are going to be the Cardinals, because they always play us tough, and the Browns, because they have a really good defense. And so if their pass rush rips apart our offensive line, that's going to slow things down, although Dylan Gabriel will make sure that he can't move the ball at all. So that's going to help us out as well.
Can I make a bold prediction?
Yeah.
I think, not to say the off time was good for Brock, because it wasn't actually off time, it was rehab time. I think Brock's going to come out there and he's going to kick some ass. Like, I think Brock
hope so.
And I think most fans do. Like, you don't want to see the quarterback you paid money who got hurt in the first year of him getting paid look bad. But I think Brock's going to come out almost with some sort of vendetta. Now, that can bite him in the hiney. He can come out there and throw picks and want to be Superman and do all these things that maybe he shouldn't. And I think Brock can learn things from Mac Jones playing in the offense more. I mean, Brock said he wanted to be more like that coming into the year, and he wasn't. But I think that Brock's going to come out there. He's always obviously competitive. I think him taking shots downfield early is never a bad thing. It keeps the Cardinals defense honest, that if they want to load the box and play that way, you have Pearsall, you have Kittle, you have Christian McCaffrey. Like, give me a Christian McCaffrey wheel route for 35 yards downfield. Brock can hit that pass. Now, I don't know what Brock's foot looks like or his toe looks like. And I think there is certainly a way, or, there's certainly a world where Brock comes out and looks like he did against the Jaguars, which initially wasn't terrible. There was some throws he missed, but then things derailed late and he hurt his toe again. And clearly he couldn't plant on his foot, which could be a problem. The last thing you want to see from Brock Purdy is coming out there and sailing throws early and making a mistake. The Cardinals will pick you off. They are that type of defense. They want to force you into mistakes. So I do think that, while there's a lot of reasons to question Purdy's return and if it's going to work out and his health, all that thing, I just think Purdy has a tendency, when he knows the moment's big, playoff games, down at halftime, like when he knows, hey, my team needs this win. Like, I know last year didn't go his way, which really wasn't all his fault. I just think that, like, Purdy does have some clutch gene. Even week 1 against the Seahawks, albeit it was a Hail Mary, oh my God, Ton just saved me in the back of the end zone. Like, sometimes you have to have a quarterback make that throw. Did I love that throw? No, but he made it and it worked out.
Yeah, but he got them down there to make that
Yes.
throw. He drove them down the field to get that touchdown. So,
correct.
It was on his shoulders to get down there. So I like what he did in week 1. I know that's something that they keep talking about. Lynch has mentioned it. Kyle's mentioned it. Like, hey, he played at a very high level against a really, really good Seahawks defense. And some would say, well, that was just week 1. But still,
sure,
we've seen what the Seahawks have done all season long. They've been a pretty dominant team so far.
Top 5 defense in football.
And what's his name? Mike McDonald.
Phenomenal.
He came from the Ravens. He was the Ravens defense coordinator, and now he's turned that defense into a juggernaut. So, look, I think that, when it comes to Brock, I hope he balls out. I want him to ball out. I want to see Brock have a successful game, but we just simply don't know. It's the great unknown. We don't know how his foot's going to react. And we don't know how much arm strength he's going to have if his lower body is not in sync. And so that concerns me.
To come out with the chip on his shoulder? Like when I think of Brock Purdy chip on his shoulder, I think of your last pick in the draft. You come in because 2 quarterbacks ahead of you got hurt and you bought against the Dolphins and you go off because that chip on your shoulder carries you. The mentality of your competitiveness carries you, not giving up on plays. Obviously there may be some hindrances in his mobility, but I think Brock almost has to come out with a chip on his shoulder. You got money and all that stuff is great and you're the quarterback, but you got to prove to yourself, hey, I am working to come back. You have to prove to yourself and maybe your team, I'm the best option right now when I'm not healthy to help win this team games. And I think we mentioned it. I said, you said it. Well, this is the perfect 4 or 5 week stretch to help get this team into the playoffs. If you win the next 4 games, you're 10-7. You have a really good chance, and you have games against the Colts, the Bears, and the Seahawks remaining. You can very easily win this game and then go on to be a playoff team if you which starts Sunday, on this next stretch. This is a really big opportunity for Brock and the team. And the last thing you want is to bring him back and then fail. And so I almost think for this team to have the edge, for this team to, maybe have the spoiler mentality come playoff time if they can make it that far, but even to help carry them on a hopeful second half playoff push, they almost need their quarterback to have that edge. The Buccaneers take on Baker Mayfield's mentality. He's cocky, he's arrogant, he runs guys over.
Mm-hmm.
When he runs over Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, he's out there flexing on guys, they feed off that. Where Mac Jones early in the season had that swag against the Rams and whatnot. I think that Brock needs to come out with that kind of cockiness, the arrogance, albeit it's humble. He needs that swagger with the chip on his shoulder to say, hey, I'm Brock Mother effing Purdy. I'm paid like a top 10 quarterback. I'm going to play like a top 10 quarterback. Do you think he has to have the edge on Sunday?
Yeah, he has to. But I think that, again, it's going to be a game where he's going to have to feel things out. He's going to have to be like, hey, how does this feel when I throw the ball this hard? How does it feel when I have to move like this?
Well, if he's doing that, he shouldn't play.
Well, but that's the thing is that, obviously, look, he's doing it in practice, the past couple days. Today is going to be the big day on Thursday. That's when they ramp things up. And I think that's why they haven't announced him as a starter, because they want to see how his injury responds to a ramped up practice. And if all of a sudden he goes, oh man, my foot's killing me, then Mac Jones is going to start. But all things are pointing towards Brock Purdy starting this Sunday. I'm just worried that the injury will cause him to second guess some of his decisions. And we may get moments that we saw against the Jacksonville Jaguars where all of a sudden he's throwing the ball inaccurately because he's trying to compensate for his turf toe injury.
Is it weird? The one thing I'm not worried about is Brock.
That's great.
I'm worried about Brock in the sense of his health and what that could look like in his first game back. But I don't think Brock really. I think Brock's going to make the exact same decisions he would healthy or not. That doesn't feel like Brock Purdy of I don't know if I can't make that throw. No, I'm going to try to make it even if I can't make it. Brock's always been that kind of gunslinger-like quarterback where he may not have the biggest arm or isn't the biggest guy, but if he sees a small window downfield and he believes he can make that throw, he's going to try to make that throw. I'm not worried about Brock's decision-making or, him questioning himself. I'm more worried about if you can't plant your foot, that's a problem. Then you shouldn't play. And even in the small clips they've shown, albeit it isn't the entire practice session, like whether it is the few reps they've gotten footage of, like Brock really isn't planting on his foot yet. I don't want to speculate. That's not my job. But like, we will only know once we see it. And that's obviously how the NFL works and everything. And if they feel he's cleared enough, albeit I wouldn't really trust the team doctors. but
here's the thing. It's like he tried to come back after 2 weeks.
Yeah, which was
Is this the case again where Brock is saying, I want to come back. I'm ready to come back. Or is it a case where the training staff is like, hey, I think he's good to go? And that's where it's kind of muddied up, where it's like, where is this coming from? I know Kyle said it's based on what Brock wants to do and what I see. Yeah. So it's kind of like, well, what does that mean? What about your training staff? Shouldn't they have a say in like, hey, his toe is not good? Yeah, at this point, how can you trust them? But
because the training staff also said Pearsall was cleared, but Shanahan was like, yeah, I'm going to trust my own eyes there. So like there does seem to be some maybe distrust with the training staff right now with the Purdy and Pearsall thing, which might be a good thing for San Francisco of like, yeah, you could tell me he's healthy, but if it doesn't look healthy, I'm not going to play him, but by all means, keep going.
Yeah, no. And so, like I said, I'm worried that Brock may have a lack of arm power because he can't plant his foot correctly. If he's having to make adjustments to his throwing style because of his injury, then that's going to be a serious red flag as the game goes on, because let's say it hurts them, at the beginning of the game, it's only going to get worse as the game goes on. So I don't know what they're going to have to do. If this was like a Super Bowl, that inject me with whatever and make that toe numb. I don't care. Yeah. But you can't do that. Now you have to treat it and you have to get it better. If you did that and you made it numb, you could destroy your foot.
How do you think they're going to offset that though? Like, let's say Purdy's toe maybe isn't like hurting him or it's not severe, but he's like, there's a lingering problem here and I know it's going to bother me all year. It's more of a pain tolerance thing. How do you think they can offset that on certain drives or maybe alleviate some pressure off the foot and they need to throw downfield and be as precise? Like I go back to screens and quick passes and getting Purdy, like out of harm's way, if you will, like, albeit the Niners offensive line has played better in recent weeks. Burford and Barch playing left guard, albeit Brendel's terrible.
That's been helping.
I don't know if the Cardinals possess this like fearsome front seven, but they have Josh Sweat and they have Calais Campbell, Walter Nolen. Like I would not want Purdy getting laid out by those guys. And Brendel's a freaking turnstile in front of him. They should start Hennessy the rest of the year. They're not going to though. I do think that, we talk about, Pearsall's return and everything, all that's great or not. But like, I wonder if this is going to be a Christian McCaffrey, like 13 catch game.
This is going to be a game where McCaffrey has, at the very minimum, like 8 to 9 catches in this game. But like we said earlier, they're going to stuff the box. They're going to make it so, hey, you're not right. We're going to do our damnedest to stop you from running this football because we know you watched footage from the Seahawks game. We don't want that to happen again. And so a lot's going to be made on if this O-line can open up holes for the running game. I mean, but dude, it's like you're 4th and 1. Instead of running it right up the fucking gut behind your center, what do? You run, you do a toss to the left side. It was like, what are we doing? Like
that's
nobody does.
That's a good point too, because we have seen San Francisco utilize the quarterback sneak. Do you want Brock Purdy running quarterback sneaks?
Whatever you have to do, you do it. And not only that, but
first, does Mac Jones come in? Do you utilize Kyle?
But Mac Jones had an opportunity to do a quarterback sneak, and they didn't do it. It was like, what? Yeah. On that 4th and 1, I was like, why didn't they just do a quarterback sneak? What are we doing? Or just bring a Brian Robinson, have him run up the middle, or something other than what they did. I mean, to me, that screamed, we don't think Jake Brendel can get that push to get that, to open up that hole to get that first down. But yet, when you had Hennessy in there, it seemed like the running game was actually better. I don't like what Brendel brings. In fact,
he's so bad.
In fact, there was a play in last week's game. I'd have to find it. Where I forgot who he was trying to block, blew him up. And he fell back onto the ground, and Mac Jones had to run off to the left side and throw the ball. And when he did that, I watched Jake Brendel fall on his back, roll over, stand up, and not even looking at the quarterback. He just stood up and just looked the other direction, and Mac was behind him throwing the ball. I'm like, so basically, it's like the moment he hit the ground, he was done. He's like, oh, that's it for me.
At that point, like the odds you're going to get back up and block somebody are pretty slim.
What I'm saying is that
that's Brendel though.
There is no drive to get up and keep going, or like, where's everybody at? It just shows a lack of urgency from a player. Well, most players, they get knocked down, they get up and they want to get back in the play. It didn't seem like he wanted to at all. And that's why this guy never gets hurt, because he never overexerts himself. Well,
he was hurt for a couple of weeks, but we have some comments here.
I loved it.
It's not great, but it's great to see somebody else play center and look better. We have a comment here in the YouTube chat by one of our favorites, Joseph Ernberg, saying, what are the chances that Jake Brendel steps on Brock Purdy's foot? I'm not going to lie to you. It happens more than you think, and it's like really frustrating. Obviously, everyone does it, but like Brendel has a habit of stepping on his quarterback's feet. I'd almost, and they're not going to do this, but like, because you just can't. But like, I'd almost would rather just have Brock Purdy play out a shotgun for a lot of the game. And you can't do that. It's more of like in the perfect world, can it happen? But like, you almost want to like just avoid any unnecessary contact with the foot. And like Brendel, unfortunately, does have a high propensity of stepping on quarterbacks' feet in previous years.
It's time to bench Brendel. I'm sorry. I know they love this guy. I know he played with Forrester at his last stop.
Under contract through 2027.
But still, it's like, man, like, I don't get how content creators, people who follow the team in the locker room, everyone's saying, unless you're Lombardi, everyone's saying, dude, Jake Brendel is not good. Yeah. And yet the team is like, we love him. He's a great guy. He must have like the best personality I've ever seen.
He's a really nice
and so guy. It must be a thing where everyone just fucking loves this guy. And they're like, no, we love Jake, man. Jake's a man. And then you look at the stats, you're like, well, okay, whatever.
Jake Brendel is the Mike Person of guards.
It's just like, come on, man. Like, I'm sorry. When Hennessy came in the game, I thought they looked better. I thought the run game looked better. I thought everything looked better.
There seemed to be more aggression. Jake does seem to be more of a mild-mannered guy where, like, nothing really phases him. He's kind of this, you watch his press conferences, and sometimes, like, sometimes your press conferences don't indicate how you are as a person on the field. Like Kittle is a mild-mannered guy, basically, just likes to have fun and joke around, but game time comes, he's a violent dude. Whereas Jake seems to be the same dude, which isn't always a bad thing. But Hennessy does bring that kind of, I'm an undersized, gruff dude that he's kind of like a Wolverine. Like, I just want to get my hands dirty and hit somebody, and like that doesn't always work. Some of those guys aren't very good, but like, you want to have the aggression on the offensive line. Can I tell you my one concern about Brock in this game? And it goes back to his foot being able to plant. I don't know if he can't plant, how he makes layered throws, albeit it can happen and his foot can look good. But if it doesn't look good, the layered throws might be a problem, being able to fit those over the linebackers. But also, too, those out throws towards the sideline he's really good at making, I don't know if he can hit those, because you need a straight line zip to the ball. And not to say San Francisco can't win or he couldn't get better at those, and as time goes on, things will kind of get cleared up. But those are my two concerns. Layered throws over the middle, which that's Brock Purdy's kind of forte, is making those layered throws. But also, too, those quick outs towards the sideline, getting guys kind of reached out, kind of out of bounds, but the feet are in bounds with the Pearsall and Jennings and Kittle. Like, those are my two concerns for him. If I had to ask you, what are your concerns of Brock, of like a couple of things that worry you with his play coming into Sunday, what would those be?
His ability to throw the ball to the sidelines, having that zip on the ball, and his ability to scramble. If he cannot move and he can't evade the pocket, I mean, look, we saw Mac Jones. He wasn't mobile. He wasn't running around. He had his moments where he'd be like, woo! He'd make a quick move and then do a little pass.
Yeah.
When he had to. And I think Brock can do exactly what Mac is doing. But if Brock goes out there and does not demonstrate the arm strength that he once had, I know everyone says Brock's got a weak arm. Well, if his arm is even weaker than it was, then we're gonna have a serious problem. And I would hate to see Brock go out there, have a bad game, And I mean, look, at what point do you say, okay, you know what? Maybe Max should be starting right now? Because if he suffers from all your worries, if he goes out there and you're like, oh, we can't do that. Oh, that looks bad. Oh, we can't do a layer throw. Should he be out there as a starting quarterback?
Do you think that, let's say Brock Purdy remains healthy through this game, but it doesn't look like Brock Purdy? There's clearer limitations or more limitations to his game before the injury than there are now. And like you're saying, you're questioning, can he make throws over the middle consistently? Can he make the out throws? And there doesn't seem to be a rhythm. How long do you give it? Is that who you ride out with for the rest of the season? And again, if they win the games, like, put it in the words they used to use when it was Jimmy Garoppolo, if they're winning games in spite of Brock Purdy, do you continue to play with him and hope things clear up? Or let's say 3 weeks go by and you've, albeit are 3-0, or you're 2-1 and you lose against the Browns going into the bye week, are you open to making the change back to Mac Jones?
I would say this. He has 2 weeks. He has this week and Monday night against the Panthers. If he has a bad game on Sunday and then has another bad game Monday night on national television, then I think they put Mac back as a starter, and they say, win. What?
Even if they beat the Cardinals and the Panthers, but Purdy doesn't look good, going back to Mac?
If they win, then we'll say this. If they win, then he stays. If they lose the next 2 games and he has poor performances, I think they make the switch and Brock goes on IR. Because then that would have said his injury is too much. It's affecting his game. It's affecting the team. We got to make a move. I give him 2 weeks, this week and next week, because Monday Night Football on national television, if you go out there and you lay an egg and you embarrass yourself, the entire world sees that because you're the only game on. And then the national media is covering that game as well. So to me, a lot is riding on the next 2 weeks on how Brock Purdy performs on the field.
Wow. And
I'm saying this because if he cannot perform at a high level, then shut him down. Put Mac back in the game and get him healthy for next season. This is not a case where I'm like, hey, shut him down, put Mac back in the game, and let's start exploring trades. No.
Sure.
I say shut him down, put him on IR, shut him down, and say, hey, look, you got to get healthy. Like it's clear by your play. It's clearly affecting you. So we'd rather you be 100%. We gave you a fuck ton of money. Let's get you 100%. And let Mac just keep doing what he's doing. Hey, you know what? Maybe we'll win a few more games and we'll get in the playoffs and we'll reevaluate everything then. But
that
at this
would
point,
be the worst case scenario for San Francisco.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Brock gets hurt week 4. He doesn't get surgery. He rushes himself back in week 4. Doesn't go on IR. You play the week-to-week game with him. He comes back, doesn't look like himself. Say you lose a game like this. Say you lose a game against the Panthers, and say you're 1-1 or you're 1-2 going into the bye week. Whereas if you got surgery after week 4, you're probably back by the bye week. And maybe you're in the playoffs still, or you're an 8-win team, or you're a 9-win team by then. Who knows? Like that, not to say I'm expecting that because I'm not, but there is some sort of catastrophic outcome for San Francisco where they've kind of played the waiting game for Brock and hopes he can get back. And if he isn't himself and you've gone to Brock and you have to go back to Mac and then Brock's out for the rest of the year and needs surgery, that just would be the worst possible outcome for anybody in this case. And it would be so bad.
Well, here's the thing too, is that you heard Lynch all of a sudden campaigning for Adrian Martinez. We like Adrian. We like him a lot. We like what he brings. And what?
When?
Today on he was on with Murphy Marcus on KMBR. On KMBR, the sports leader. He was on with them. He's on there every Thursday. And at one point he was talking about Adrian Martinez. So a part of me thinks that, hey, look, maybe there is a scenario that they've already kind of planned out where, if he goes out there and it's clearly obvious that he's still injured, he cannot perform at a high level because of his injury, then we're going to have to shut him down, put him on season-ending IR, have him do the surgery, and Adrian Martinez is going to be our backup. I might as well find a way to vouch for him and say how much we like him and how he's developing, because there's a scenario in which he might be the backup quarterback at one point if Brock goes down with an injury. And so Look, I want Brock Purdy to succeed. I want Brock Purdy to go out there and just light it up. I don't think he will. I think he'll go out there and have a marginally good game. I think it's going to be a game where it's like, don't turn the ball over. Don't take any big risks. We got to get this win, though. So I don't think
Do you think the Niners are good enough offensively to do that, though? Like,
I think they are, because that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing with Mac Jones. Mac Jones isn't taking any big risks. He's just throwing the ball to open receiver, throwing the ball, in the flat, throwing the ball to Christian McCaffrey. And Brock needs to replicate what Mac has been doing, but obviously he'll put his own spin on it, because typically he has more. He's a running quarterback. He's elusive as well. If he doesn't have that, then he's got to make sure that his throws are accurate.
Do you think the fan base is willing to accept maybe a week 1 downgrade from Mac Jones to a injured-ish Brock Purdy in hopes of getting more out of Purdy? Or do you think part of the fan base, if Brock Purdy, let's say, has a pedestrian day 1 back and throws for 150 yards and maybe a touchdown and a pick, do you think there is going to be this, you have to go back to Mac now from the fan base?
I think if he has that kind of game and they win, it's fine.
Okay.
If he has that game and they lose, then you're going to have a large majority, or I should say, you're going to have a lot of fans and talking heads like us clamoring for, I think Mac Jones needs to be your starter moving forward. But like I said, if he goes out there, has a bad game, then has a subsequent bad game against Carolina, then you have to say, okay, I think it's a case where it's like, I saw Joseph Ehrenberg saying, hey, this season's lost. Just stick with Brock. I get that, but if you stick with Brock only to exacerbate his injury week by week by week, then that's not the answer. And if his injury,
that's going to happen, because I think Brock's, unless he gets like seriously injured and can't play, he's the guy. Like, they're bringing him back with the thought, with the idea he's going to be the quarterback for the rest of the year, and he'll battle through the injury, and hopefully he can win the next 4 games and make them 10-7 with an extra hopeful win against the Colts, the Bears, or the Seahawks. I'm praying.
Look at the Jaguars game.
The Bears, but still,
look at the Jaguars game. I mean, the way he performed in the Jaguars game was all kinds of red flags.
Yeah,
he didn't look comfortable. He was inaccurate. He was making bad decisions, and that's something that usually Brock doesn't do in terms of like making bad decisions and turning the ball over and being inaccurate. That's usually what he's good at. And so if we get that same Brock Purdy on Sunday, that's going to be a huge red flag, very concerning. But if he does it for 2 weeks in a row, then I would be cautious to bring him back out for a 3rd week, knowing that you're going against Myles Garrett and that Browns defense, right? Okay, we struggled against these 2 teams. Now we expect him to perform now against the Browns. Sure. I don't know.
What are your expectations for Brock? Like, give me like an actual statistical expectation for him this Sunday against the Cardinals. Like, when you think of Brock Purdy returning, what are you expecting to see this Sunday? Are you expecting the guy that's got paid $53 million per year, or are you expecting something else?
I think if it's a good performance from him, I think he throws for 226 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, because it's rust. You know what I mean? If it's a bad performance from Brock Purdy, it's 180 yards passing and 2 interceptions.
What do you think we get, though? Do you think we get good Brock? I think we get bad Brock.
I think we get good Brock as long as I think we should get good Brock. I really do.
Yeah, I would lean that way. I think, not to say that the Niners have played things well this season, because they botched his recovery initially. Whether he should have been on IR or had surgery, I have no idea, but they botched it. It just is the truth. And I think, now they've given him rest. They've kind of played coy. He might play. And now he is playing. Or at least that's what we're kind of getting from the team this week. I also think the Cardinals defense does give him a really good opportunity to have a kind of easing game and look good. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to play through safety sets. They're playing much better football. They played good against the Cowboys, beat them in prime time. Outside of the game against the Seahawks last Sunday, which was really ugly. Like, I think the Cardinals defense is actually somewhat susceptible to the deep ball, especially if they don't have Will Johnson and Max Melton out there. I want Purdy to kind of be not reckless, but take some chances early. Make the Cardinals fear you. Like, I don't want to talk down on Mac Jones because that's unfair. Mac Jones has been really good and he's helped San Francisco stay afloat. There's a different skill set there. They're different quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. Purdy, when healthy, albeit he's not that, is a better quarterback than Mac Jones. We've seen that. Now, mobility may change that. Time will tell. We'll see what it looks like on Sunday, but Purdy's a better quarterback than Mac Jones is.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think that there's pressure on Brock Purdy? I mean, we know there's going to be pressure regardless.
Sure.
But do you think there's internal pressure from within Brock Purdy that he has to perform as good, if not better, than Mac Jones? Do you think he's telling himself, like, I can't underperform. Like, I need to show everyone that, I am the starting. Like, do you think he holds himself accountable internally, and that may play against him in the game?
I don't think there's this like internal battle of like, I have to outplay Mac Jones. Like, that's where quarterbacks get in their own heads and they make mistakes. And I think that's where Brock Purdy could get in trouble, trying to outduel the guy behind him. I think this team has very clearly said Brock Purdy's our guy, and Mac Jones has done great, but not our guy. And I think Mac Jones has said that. Now, I'm sure Mac would like a chance to start every single game, and I think he's earned himself, whether it's a raise or more incentives. And I wouldn't be shocked if Mac Jones comes back to the table and says, can I get a raise in the incentives, once this year's over with. But that said, I don't think Brock is, internally battling with, I have to outduel and outcompete and be better than Mac Jones. I think Brock Purdy just needs to get back to being Brock Purdy. Like, you can really talk about, who should be quarterback for the team going forward and who's better. But I think that if Brock Purdy can, like, athletes shouldn't compare themselves to somebody else. I get it.
Well, performance
that can out push you.
Yeah.
Like, that can out make you better.
In any workplace environment, you push yourself. Sure. If someone's threatening your job, you're like, hey,
I don't think Mac is threatening his job. Like, I don't think Mac
I don't think so either, because they made that apparent by this week by saying, when even John Lynch today with Murph and Marcus on KMBR, the sports leader, he was on there.
7 the game's better, but okay.
Okay, but he was on there and he said, "This is Brock's team. This is still Brock's team. And when Brock's healthy, he's going to be our starter." Which I'm glad he said that. I'm like, good, that's great.
Doesn't even need to be said.
But it kind of does, because you got a lot of people saying, well, why isn't Mac still playing?
But no offense, like, who cares?
Who does care? But here's the thing.
They don't, and they shouldn't.
The NFL, it's so much of a what have you done for me lately? And so everyone, all they can remember right now is, well, Mac Jones, he's throwing the ball really well, Mac Jones. But if you look at it, Brock had an amazing 2022 season, an amazing 2023 season, and then maybe I'm off by a year, but last season was a little bit of it was a tougher year for him.
You're right.
But he also had a lot of injuries all around him, and so that made it very difficult. But then you look at games like, I'm sorry, but this game last week, the Rams game, for some reason, this game reminded me a lot of the Lions game last season.
Okay.
Because it was a game in which, look, the Niners were down 21-0 real fast against the Rams. That didn't happen against the Lions. But you saw the Niners make it a one-score game. They scored a touchdown. Make it a one-score game again. I mean, like, they were matching them point for point once they started scoring. And so, to me, it really felt like that. And then towards the end, turnovers, and then they were able to kind of pull away from, from the Niners. And that's sort of what happened against the Lions. Brock was on fire. They were winning 21-14. And then it was 21-21. And then it was 28-21. And then it was close. And then we scored again. And then eventually the Lions hit a field goal. Then they got a touchdown. And then it was kind of over at that point.
Yeah, the bow broke.
Yeah. Because, they had so many injuries. And plus, our defense was so horrible last season. And what's crazy is that's a defense that had Nick Bosa, it had Fred Warner, and we couldn't stop anybody.
It was personnel, and also the coaching was so bad.
Nick Sorensen was in over his head. But my point is this, is that to me, that reminded me a lot of that game, because it showed you what this offense is capable of. It also shows you the detriment that the defense is, especially against a team that has a high-powered offense. Now, the Cardinals don't have a high-powered offense. The Cardinals are going to be handing the ball off to, DeMarcado? That's not good.
Zonovan Knight, Bam Knight is the other guy.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can't let those guys beat you.
I don't think the Cardinals offense is really one where I'm worried about out racing or out gunning the Niners. They don't have their 2 top receiver weapons beside really this is going to sound weird, but if the Niners defense can simply hold Trey McBride at bay, which is really hard. He's one of the best tight ends in football. I do have concerns of coverage with the linebackers over the middle. Bethune has not been great. It's been a kind of back and forth thing with him. Winters has been just falling off a cliff at the end of the year. I don't know what happened. I don't know
if it's his knee injuries that are slowing him down.
I don't know if Fred just masked all the problems he had and let Winters play free and make mistakes and could clean it up. Maybe that was the case, but
it's not good.
Now that you don't have that presence, the errors become more clear than they grow. But the Niners offense, I think, can one of my big keys to this game is getting out to a lead early. If you get out there and you can put 14 points up against that Cardinals offense, they're not going to come back. They're not going to fold, but the odds are you're going to score some more points. I also think it's pretty I want Shanahan to be aggressive early, knowing that you can afford to make mistakes early in the game.
I think early on in the game, you're going to see a lot of play action. I think the second play of the game,
action. You want Purdy on the move early in the game?
I think that if you're going to test out that foot and test out his throwing ability, you have to do it early, not later in the game when it's already getting sore. He's like, oh, fuck, now we're going to do this. I think first down, I think they're going to stuff the box. And it would not surprise me if on first down they ran play action or second down play action, throwing the ball. Keep the ball moving, get him moving, get him comfortable.
So what you're saying is first play action, Kyle Juszczyk in the flat for 5 yards.
Maybe. I think it's play action looking for George Kittle.
I don't think you can afford to treat Brock like he's not 100%. If you're treating him like he's 85%, you're going to lose games.
No,
you're going to play scared.
I'm not saying you treat him like 85%. What I'm saying is that they're going to expect you to run the football. So I see Shanahan saying they think that we're going to hand the ball off almost every single time. So we're going to run play action early, catch them off guard, and attack them down the field. And I think that's what their plan is. Because, look, what do they keep saying? Mac Jones doesn't throw the ball downfield. But now you're expecting Brock Purdy to throw the ball downfield. And so I hope that he can. I mean, I miss the deep crossing routes from Brandon Ayuk that would give us big chunk yardage. I miss that. I missed that, but
fans really forget how great Brandon Ayuk was pre-injury.
I was watching highlights the other day. I was just like, I really missed it.
It was special. It was really special.
Well, and look, like we said, there is no Will Johnson. There is no Max Melton. There is no Mac Wilson as well.
Is that confirmed, or are those guys might play?
Who? The guys I just named off?
Yeah.
Well, Max Melton has a concussion. He's limited, so he may play. Will Johnson did not practice with a back and hip injury, and Mac Wilson did not practice. He's out. He has a rib injury. He's out.
Okay.
So that's going to help them in their run game for the Niners. It's just a matter of can our offensive line keep Brock Purdy upright, and that's what we have to find out. Walter Nolen, Calais Campbell, and Josh Sweat. Their target is Brock Purdy, and I'm sure Jonathan Gannon's like, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to attack the fuck out of him with stunts, with blitzes, and to free you guys up. And that's how they're going to try to control the early part of the game. Niners need to come out and with an opening drive touchdown. That will
Do you want to take the ball first, or do you want to give them the ball first?
I'd give them the ball first. Always.
So you defer?
Always.
See, but I'm thinking we say that, but it didn't pay off last week against the Rams.
Well, that's the Rams, though. The Rams were like, "Oh, cool, you gave us the ball tight, touchdown!" It was
right, which I get that, but I'm thinking if I can get the ball first and I can get Brock kind of back in the fray early, and I can trust my defense maybe early in the game, the defense has really struggled at times. Maybe I want to give them a break, and I know there is a lot of advantages to deferring, get the ball at halftime if you're down early, double up on the team.
¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
Kan du norsk?
If you used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based techniques teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world, with lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers. Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/Spotify. Spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify. Rules and restrictions may apply.
I get all that. I just wonder, from an offensive and defensive kind of starting point of like, maybe it's better for the offense to get the ball first, get Brock kind of that first drive. Even if you go 3 and out, albeit it wouldn't be, ideal, like you're getting him on the field, you're getting him kind of back into the fray of things. It's like in baseball, take your first at bat. You're playing like, I always like playing defense first in baseball. Give me kind of into the tune of the game and then let me go out there. You can't really do that during football because you don't play both sides unless you're Travis Hunter, which now he's out for the rest of the year. Like I almost want San Francisco in a kind of odd way to get the ball first. Let me see Purdy. Let me see his first drive and let's see how things go. Then, let your defense maybe take over. But we have a super chat by one of our own, that being Aaron from 49ers First Takes. He says, shut it all down, # all in 2026. He's really taken to the all in 2026 thing.
That's his new hashtag.
But in his own words, Pearsall is back. So maybe he can lay off the Princess Pearsall nickname he was giving him. Hopefully Pearsall can play really well. But
look, Cowboy Chipto, imagine wasting 2 first-round picks on Travis Hunter.
Which it's so funny because like the Jaguars have been so inconsistent. They blew like a 30-point lead to the Texans last Sunday with Davis Mills, man. But I do think that there are some more keys to this game on Sunday with San Francisco. I think the interior offensive line's a big thing. Walter Nolen is back, although he's a little banged up for the Cardinals. I think they didn't see him the first time they played Arizona. He's a big presence on the interior. I know it pains me and I'm sure others to not play and have Michael out there to see, battle of first-round picks. But this is a big game for Burford, Barch, Brendel, and Pooney. It seems like they're going to still do the left guard rotation thing. So
that's weird. I've never seen that before, but hey,
they did that 2 years ago with Burford and Feliciano in 2023, early in the season.
Yeah, they did.
Then John took over, but it's a big game for them. Can they clog the interior and kind of get Purdy a wall? I think San Francisco really on defense, like you got to get Marquis Siegel in there playing safety. Upton Stout's route coverage has just been really good at times, but then he like leaks far too out and he covers and like he's getting in other cornerbacks' lanes. Like there was a play, I think Kyle Posey of Niner Nation put it on X of like Stout drops so far back into coverage to give himself space to make a play up front. He gets into Green's like coverage of the other receiver. I don't know who it was. And then like knocks him over. Then the Green can't make a play on the ball. And it's that's communication, but also of like, you guys don't really have the wherewithal of where everyone's at. And like, that's a problem.
Yeah. I mean, how many times did we see Puka Nacua go in motion and they were just like, oh God, help. They were so lost. You'd see them like, who's covering who? What's going on? And all of a sudden it was like, oh man, here it comes. First down. I was like, oh my God. So look, I like Upton Stout. I think he's going to be a really good player. He's learning on the job. And I mean, they all are. D. Winters, he's learning on the job still. He wasn't a starter last year.
He started the times last year.
They're like,
Bethune's learning on the job.
Fred Warner's out. You're going to be the quarterback of the of the defense. He's like, okay, yeah, this is a lot. And like last year, Bethune was irrelevant. And now it's like he's our main Mike linebacker. Like, what? Let me ask you this, though. As we kind of round things out, let me ask you this. The Eagles traded for Jalen Phillips.
Okay.
They gave up a 3rd-round pick.
Sure.
If the Niners gave up a 3rd-round pick for Phillips, would you have taken that trade?
I mean, I would have liked it from the sense of getting an impact, pass rusher on the defensive line. And I don't know what contract Phillips was going to get in the offseason. I don't think San Francisco, I don't think if San Francisco acquired Phillips, they'd be one to re-sign him. Thus, you're giving away a 3rd-round pick for a guy for a rental. I don't love that. And even if, let's say, he gets a big deal from somebody else, I don't think that's going to happen. But let's say he does and plays really well down the stretch. Your compensation pick wouldn't come until 2027, which I don't know what that is. Like, is it a 4th-round pick? Is it a 3rd-round pick? I don't know. I would have been much more comfortable trading a 4th-round draft pick for Phillips. That would have made more sense to me, which I think Philadelphia paid up knowing they're in their window. So I probably wouldn't have made that deal.
But, I mean, look at it this way. If they would have got him, right, for a 3rd-round pick, at least you could say we have Huff and Phillips on the edges. You know what I mean? Like, I'd feel a little better about our defensive line right now. Samo, love the guy.
Yeah,
He's not really getting it done.
He's
Robert Beal. None of these guys are starters.
No,
the guys that we're listing off.
That's it. Yeah.
No, but the guys we're listing off. I mean, even Kalia Davis and Jordan Elliott,
not starters.
They're not starters.
But Alfred Collins is back this Sunday, so a big impact on the interior San Francisco.
I will say this:
line.
Without having Alfred Collins, you saw a huge difference in their interior run stop.
Yes.
They were running right through the interior, and usually Alfred Collins is there to help plug things up next to either Elliott or Davis, and I think getting him back is going to be huge. And look, everyone can argue about Michael Williams, like, oh, he didn't get the sacks we're looking for, and yada yada yada. But the way he sets the edge and the way he helped control the run, it was huge. And realistically, they didn't. And this is going to sound weird. They didn't draft Collins, West, and Williams as pass rushers. They drafted them to help stop the running game. That's their main objective. Is these are run stoppers. And so that's what their goal was. Anything else on top of that is gravy.
It's true. I really think that, like, I know we look at the loss of Bosa like as a big pass rushing loss. I'm not going to compare the thing, but it's not just you lost Bosa. It's that you lost Michael, and now you can't pair him with Yetur Gross-Matos, who I know he's been hurt, and I know the money is an issue and fans don't like that. He was like the best interior pass rusher for the first month of the year. Like, he looked phenomenal with San Francisco this season. And so you lose your best, edge rusher. You have your second best one, sure, in Huff, but then you lose the other offsetting guy. You lose your best run defender in Micah Williams on the exterior. Then you lose your best interior pass rusher. Like, they have lost so many guys that actually matter.
Well,
and I think we're overlooking the impact of Michael and Yetur Gross-Matos on the interior of the pass rush.
And people were saying, oh, well, maybe they should have taken Walter Nolen, right? Well, Nolen just came back from injury. I would have too. Nolen just came back from injury, so that would have hurt us a lot. Like, oh, he's already hurt. Oh, no, Bosa's out. Oh. But here's the thing, though, is that I think that going into next year's draft, if a guy like Walter Nolen was available next year, they take him. Easily.
Instantly. Yeah.
Because imagine if you get a guy like Nolen. What I'm saying is that in next year's draft, depending on where they land, they may land in their early 20s, let's say. Yeah. I think they're going to target, like, they could target, obviously you want them to target offensive linemen, but knowing the Niners, they could target a defensive pass rusher, an interior pass rusher, because they already have guys like Alfred Collins, CJ West, Jordan Elliott. They have their interior and their core kind of set up. So that's when you take a Walter Nolen, but not this past year.
And I think, no one's going to give them fits, obviously, but I think, the Niners, I'm not really concerned. I mean, there is concerns, but like my major complaint or my major gripe going into Sunday against the Cardinals, like, isn't Purdy, isn't Pearsall, isn't the offense. Like, they have the best offensive play caller, maybe not named McVay or Andy Reid. Like, he's a top 3 guy, if not the best one in football, in Shanahan, with their franchise quarterback back, although maybe hindered, with their offensive player of the year running back. Brian Robinson's playing really good football. He just bulldozed through a Rams defender last Sunday. Kittle's healthy. He looks healthy. Had an amazing touchdown catch. Juwan's looking better the last couple of weeks. And now you have Pearsall back in the fray. Like, the offense, I think, should be fine. The offense could put up 35 points, and I would not be shocked at all. I would go, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Like, they're efficient, and they're healthy. You have to lead. I think everyone's concerns should be on the defense. Like, Stout has had its problems, albeit he's been really inconsistent, but you'll take it because he's young. Lenore has not been great the last few weeks. No. You're hoping that can continue. Sala, I think they've kind of gone back and forth of like, we're good, then we're bad, then we're good, then we're bad. And I don't think the Cardinals are of the likes of the Buccaneers and the Texans and the Rams, of a team that can take advantage of how bad or how injured the Niners are defensively. Yes, I'm concerned about, guarding Trey McBride and all that stuff, but the Cardinals offense is now without Kyler Murray, who Brissett's more of a sitting duck. If you can get pressure on him, I think they should blitz at times. I think delayed blitzes, if you're going to suck in coverage like the Winters has, be a delayed blitz linebacker and get home. Brissett's a sitting duck. He'll make mistakes. When he's pressured so far this year, 5 turnover-worthy plays. He will throw picks. He will fumble the football. Did it all last Sunday against the Seahawks. And he isn't a bad player. He just isn't a great quarterback. Better than Kyler right now. More efficient, sure. But I think blitz Brissett, bring some guys. I want to see delayed blitzes. I want to see nickel blitzes, safety blitzes. I mean, Jair Brown can probably actually get to Brissett to not be a problem, but it's like they've kind of gone back and forth. I think San Francisco can actually buck that trend in this next month or so. You're bad against the Bucs, you're good against the Falcons. You're bad against the Texans, you're good against the Giants. You're bad against the Rams. I think you can rattle off 4 wins here and be good against the Cardinals, the Panthers, the Browns, and the Titans, and all those games provide you equally challenging situations. But I'm really confident in San Francisco winning this game. And I think even despite maybe the issues the Cardinals have, it'll be tough. It'll be close. This game's not going to be a blowout by any means, but I will give you my score prediction here. And I will say that I would say
I would say you hold off on that until tomorrow's show.
Oh, well.
But go ahead. You already brought it up.
This one's going up on the podcasting feed, so this one has to be a score prediction.
There you
go. We do have, just good news. Brock Purdy is back at practice after yesterday's aggressive practice. He is currently on track to start on Sunday, so pretty much confirming what we've been talking about throughout the entire show today. Brock's coming back. He's coming back. And, that's just the way it is. And I think he's going to look good. However, I think San Francisco wins this game by 2 scores, 27-16. I think Purdy comes back. The offense looks good. Maybe some hiccups early, but I am buying into them kind of cleaning things up. And maybe I'm being optimistic here, but I've been banking on this 4-game stretch of being how they go to the playoffs. So I'm sticking to my guns. I think San Francisco's in for a 4-game winning streak ahead of them if everything goes as planned. I think Brock stays healthy. I think he looks good, not great, not bad, but looks good. I think they win 27-16.
27-16. Yeah, I would say I think they're going to win 28-21 because I can't trust that this defense can't give up, less than 20 points. They consistently give up 20 points. So I would say 28-21. But I think they go up by 2 touchdowns, and then the Cardinals score again, but it's a little bit too late. Yep. And we'll see. A lot's riding on Brock Purdy on his performance because the Niners need him back. They need him to play at an elite level. And Sunday's going to be a big test to see if that's, in fact, what he's able to do.
Yeah, I think they're in for a good one. I think San Francisco is on their way, hopefully, to advancing to 7-4 on the season, which would be really good for a team with this many injuries. However, there's another big game happening on Sunday, and I want to end the show here because Cam's dad in the YouTube chat asks us, guys, my dilemma is who do we want to win this Sunday between the Rams or the Seahawks that will help the Niners out? I think I'm rooting for the Rams on Sunday.
Absolutely 100%. Rams.
I think you root for the Rams. You hope they knock Seattle down a peg. I'd rather go to SoFi than Lumen Field if that was going to happen come playoff time. And also, if they lose against the Rams and you're 7-4 and you're nearing a tie with them, it's a divisional game for both teams. And also, if they lose to the Rams, then the Rams have the tiebreaker over them. And also, if you beat Seattle late in the year in Week 18, maybe you own the tiebreaker over Seattle too. So I think the Niners, Niner fans, should be really rooting for the Rams on Sunday. I think the Seahawks are beatable.
I like Gabriel's a tie.
A tie.
That'd be awesome.
A tie would be fun. It probably would hurt San Francisco in that regard. But what's the Seahawks record? Are they 7-2? They're 7-2, right?
Yeah, they're 7-2.
Yeah, so if they're 7-2, you'd fall to and the Niners win, you'd fall to half a game behind them, I believe, for the wild card spots. So if you talk about seeding purposes, really you want the Bears and the Packers to lose on Sunday. I don't know if they play each other, but you want probably the Bears to lose that game if I were to say myself. But you're thinking Rams winning. I'm saying Rams should hopefully win that game.
Rams.
Help San Francisco out.
Fuck
but,
the Seahawks. Sorry to swear.
Darnold may be in for a stinker. Look at his first half and second half stats in game. Very different. But
and last week's game against the Cardinals, he had a Jimmy Garoppolo versus the Packers NFC title game kind of game where he only threw the ball 14 times, 11 times.
They were up so early and the defense scored 2 touchdowns, but he also had an interception where the ball hit off his lineman's helmet and bounced into the Cardinals guy's hand. So
sounds like a
fun game.
That's a Sam Darnold interception right there where you're like, what the hell?
But that's all we have today. We both have San Francisco winning. Dre said 28-20. I said 27-16. Dre, thanks for coming on. Tell the people out there where we can find you.
You can find me at Dre Area Sports on YouTube. Also, Dre Area Sports on X, Instagram, and Facebook as well. All you gotta do is go to YouTube, find Dre Area Sports, and hit subscribe. That helps everybody out.
It's as simple as that. You can also find us on social media at 49ers_access is the X and 49ers.access is the Instagram. You can use our promo code 49ersaccess, 49 ERS ACCESS at SeatGeek.com and save yourself $20 off your first purchase. Brock Purdy is set for return, as well as Ricky Pearsall. We're hoping for good things on Sunday. We have San Francisco winning this game and advancing to 7-4, beating the Arizona Cardinals. That's all we have for you today. My name is Sterling Bennett. That is Dre from Dre Area Sports. And as always, until next time, stay faithful.